This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. Today's the summer solstice. We're so glad you can join us today. In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I talk with Boehringer Ingelheim's Dr. Jana Morgan about DVM SWINE Academy, which is a program that helps recent veterinary school graduates network with each other and learn how to operate in their jobs and kind of apply those skills from school into the workforce. We'll also have a look at that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, the markets are back open today after a long 3-day weekend. The markets yesterday were closed in observation of Juneteenth. So with the end of the closing session today, we go for a bit of analysis to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, what was going on in the marketplace today?
Well, I think there were quite a few people that maybe wish it would have been another holiday, but we did see a lot of pressure coming in on the grain markets. And the interesting thing about it is that you couldn't really pinpoint any one thing in particular that really was blatantly, bearish to force the grain markets lower. It just seemed like a combination of things. We had, current high pressure ridge that we've had sitting here now looks to be moving more to the west for a while. Cooler temperatures that might bring in some rain showers, but it's nothing large, real heavy or anything at this point in time, but bringing in some cooler weather off of that. We're getting some heat units in here. The crop conditions are really good but it's beginning of the year. The expectations today are for corn at 70% good to excellence. That's down 2% from last week. Soybeans 69%. That's down 1% from last week. Spring wheat 54% good to excellence. That's about unchanged from last week. So we're still looking at some decent conditions. Now, the export business for corn was a little bit slow. The inspections today, a little bit lower than last week again. There's some concern over some of the overall demand that may be having an impact there. So that another part of the thing that could have, of the market that could have had some influence. Now, then we get stops being hit. That's a normal when you see a significant reduction in the market. But overall, you think that we should be seeing some more support to this corn. And I'm not saying that we did turn the corner and we're falling apart, but it's kind of a little quite interesting and to see this much of a movement coming in today with the other fundamentals being as they are. Now, on the soybean side, you're under pressure as well, about keeping pace with corn. Slower China demand is seemingly to have somewhat of an impact there. They're a little bit lower demand on soybean oil that we've been seeing. China's on the other side. China's been hit with some hot weather and some dryness, which could hinder some of their summer planting of corn and soybeans. But yet last week there was a cancellation of 100,000 metric tons of soybeans, and weakness that we're seeing in soybean oil and Malaysian palm oil. Those things are the bearish aspect of the other side of the bullish aspect of potentially weather. We don't know what kind of acres we'll have until next week coming up off of these reports. But it's kind of here or there. We're seeing two different scenarios into that market, and the pressure or the overall idea today was for the downside. Now, wheat is seeing some harvest pressure, and that is probably bringing most of that pressure onto that market. Plus, Ukraine has been sending some stuff out through Poland. So they are getting some things done. There's some grain storage going to be built outside of the country for moving some of that in for grain storage. So hence wheat, saw some pressure today.
Right. And could a lot of that be, there were, potentially sellers who were long over the weekend or just kind of itching to get something to move. And as soon as they heard, we've got a little bit of rain in the forecast, as soon as they heard that, they were just ready to sell. And maybe a lot of that money flow is having an impact today.
Yes, I would concur with that. We do see that overall idea in the market a lot of times where you see a little bit of change in something. And a lot of times at this time of the year, it's the weather, whether it's going to actually come about that way or not. But there's a lot of day traders, technical traders that are quick to jump on that market, irregardless of some of the other fundamentals. And I would agree that's probably some of the getting on the bandwagon today as well.
All right. And what are we seeing on the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex?
Well, we did see live cattle try to hold pretty well, but they did weaken as we got closer to the close. Now, obviously, there was no cash traded today. Feedlots are kind of waiting to see how aggressive the packers are going to be. Now, packers don't have a lot contracted ahead at this point in time. We see lower cattle weights, so they're not like backing up into the marketplace. We saw a $4 jump in cash last week, which was a little bit of a surprise to see that much of a jump. The anticipation is we're going to see some stronger cash again this week. So the market is just kind of biding its time right now until they actually see something. The cutouts were up higher at the noon report. We don't know what it'll be at the end, but they were up higher at the noon report. And so cutouts have been, or box beef, I should say, not cutouts, but box beef has been struggling a little bit lately, and that's kind of attributed to the inflation. We are hearing some restaurants out in the West mainly that are reducing some of their hours already because of lower restaurant traffic because of inflation. Now, the feeder cattle, they were the beneficiaries of the large decline in grain prices today. So they shot higher. Traders jumped onto that market because there is that correlation there. And we've seen some strength in the actual cattle auction markets for feeder cattle, feeder steers, feeder heifers. So there's a little bit more of a idea there to buy into that market. Now over on the hog side, hogs have really come forward as far as the closer months are concerned. For a period of time, there was a lot of bear spreading going on, anticipating we weren't going to see the cash in the closer months, but maybe strength in the back months. Well, that changed over the last week. Last week we saw front month July over $5 higher on the futures. We saw that extended today again, a little more of that spread unwinding. We saw better cutouts overall last week, and cutouts are the driver of the market, I feel, for the most part. Cutouts at noon today were a little bit lower, but cash was a little bit lower. That's anticipated to maybe be a little bit stronger by the closing of the afternoon report, because we can see some evidence of strong demand that is surfacing in that market. Now, hog weights have been a little bit higher, but if we see that strong demand coming in here, a stronger demand, I should say, they'll clean up some of that backlog, if there is much of a backlog in the market. That's debatable right now, but might get those weights down a little bit. The hot weather might get those weights down a little bit. Packers might be a little more aggressive. There are some tighter numbers that are anticipated, that have been anticipated and are anticipated to come through the market. So hogs have really made a change for the good. They've turned higher. Now, how long we can extend or expect that to continue? Well, the July contract has made higher highs every trading day since the 10th of June. Now, that won't stay that way forever, but I think we're seeing a better base being built under the hog market.
All right, Robin, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners who would like to learn more and get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Hey, they can call me directly at 877-256-3253, or they can go to the website agmarket.net. Phone numbers on there, other contact information is on there.
All right, Robin, it was great talking to you today, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
As always, I appreciate the time that I can spend with you.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn is down 23 3/4 at 760 3/4. December corn down 29.5 at 701 1/2. July soybeans down 21 even at 1681 even. November soybeans down 27 even at 1510 1/2. Soybean meal down 660 at 415.90. Soy oil down 59 cents at 71.67. Chicago wheat down 59 even at 975 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 51 3/4 at 1117 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 63 3/4 at 1041 1/4. And July oats down 28 even at 636 1/2. On the Merc, June live cattle down 20 cents at 137.82. Feeder cattle up 235 at 175.30. Lean hogs up 172 at 112.72. Pork cutout down a nickel at 115.12. And Class 3 milk up 2 cents at 24.32. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we'll have a bit more about DVM Swine Academy. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, the U.S. is currently facing a veterinarian shortage. Many vets are retiring, and there just aren't enough graduates to fill in their positions. In fact, a lot of these college students who are majoring in vet studies might take a different job once they leave because it's just difficult to get into the workforce and translate those skills from the classroom into the real world. So Boehringer Ingelheim has noticed this issue, and their solution is DVM Swine Academy. It is a program that allows recent vet grads to network together, bounce ideas off each other, and just kind of figure out how to operate things the best. I had the chance to talk with Dr. Jana Morgan at World Pork Expo this year. She is a key account veterinarian for swine at Boehringer Ingelheim, and she talked about what inspired them to create this program and how it helps those recent vet school graduates. So we're here at the Boehringer Ingelheim tent here at the World Pork Expo, the first day here, and we're talking with is it Jana or Jana? Yep. And we're talking with Dr. Jana Morgan, a key account veterinarian for swine at Boehringer Ingelheim. So first off, what inspired Boehringer Ingelheim to create the DVM Swine Academy?
About 11 years ago, they looked at creating a peer group for young veterinarians to get together and have kind of a place to interact with each other and learn from key knowledge leaders within the industry over a 2-year time frame, and just to honestly to really create a peer group or network for young veterinarians that are working in the swine industry.
Right, obviously it's such a big jump to go from going to school and then going right into the practice, getting out on farms and really dealing with that. So what are some of the things that this program does specifically that'll kind of, help, like you said, with the networking and just kind of ease that process?
I said the most important thing is the peer network, and then really on top of that is each module specific to industry topics. And so industry, things like PRRS and enteric diseases, financials, business financials, personal financial, people management, lots of different topics through in the industry that maybe we didn't get a lot of in veterinary school, and maybe you have to kind of find the right person to learn those things as you're coming out of school. And so allowing for the interaction with peers and having someone that you can call and ask a question to, and then being able to learn from a knowledge leader that you kind of have that personal connection with after being in the small classes or sizes are small, to allow for that intimate discussion within each module that we have.
Right, exactly. And that's another thing with the college class. A lot of them are just so big, and you can't expect the professors to be able to give that one-on-one experience and that kind of intimate discussion there. And then on top of that, like I said earlier, it's one thing to look at a textbook and learn about PRRS or learning about African swine fever, but then to go out there and actually have to see it, treat it, deal with it, it's just one of those things that obviously having a program to benefit that and make that transition, like I said earlier, will make it a million times easier.
Yeah, for sure, right? The program really does a good job of finding those hot topics. In the first module, we kind of go back to the basics and we say, let's learn about immunology. And we have Dr. Brian Aldridge from the University of Illinois come in, and he does an excellent job talking about immunology, very specific to swine, but overall. And then we also get an opportunity to have the new class put things on the list of things that they want to talk about over the next 2 years to make sure that we find the right knowledge leader to bring in to talk about those topics over that time frame.
So then how can recent or soon-to-be graduates get involved in this program?
That's a really good question. It really is, it's been kind of an invite to the program. Like I said, we want to keep it small. You said we don't, big class sizes doesn't allow for the intimate conversation and the openness. We're not looking at selling product. We're looking at creating an environment where where the students can talk about, or the veterinarians can talk about anything that they want to talk about with their peers. So the invite, it's invite. And so if you know about the program or you've heard about it, usually someone has heard about it, whether from their BI account team. That's probably the best way. A lot of times we have veterinarians who have gone through the program. We're on our 7th class, so we have a pretty good number of veterinarians who have gone through the program. They hire a new veterinarian, they come to us or to me, and they say, hey, I would really like this new veterinarian that I hired to be part of DVM SWINE ACADEMY. And we look at them, and if they fit that piece of it, then we send that invite out. And so the best way is to get in touch with your BI account team and say, I'm interested in this, or get in touch with me as well, and just, I have interest in this, I'd really like to be a part of this. And we hope to get as many people as we can, but again, limiting that, we'd like to limit it to about 15 people, less than 20, so they can have that conversation, which isn't hard to do because of the young veterinarians that we're focused on, because there's not a ton of new young veterinarians that come into the field, and so hopefully we can catch everyone, or as many as we can, as they come through as young veterinarians.
Right, and it's interesting that you mentioned, there's not a lot of young veterinarians coming through, and probably a lot of that is it's a very challenging field, and it's a pretty daunting task to, like we've said, go to school for quite a long time, longer than most majors, and then get out there and have to work with farmers and be able to diagnose that pretty much by yourself, or at least with a small team. So, hopefully this program could as well maybe show that there is a support structure for young veterinarians, and to help you make that transition, and maybe encourage some people to maybe reconsider what they want to do, and maybe they want to pursue a veterinary degree.
Yeah, for sure. I think as young veterinarians come out, I was part of the first Swine Academy class. I didn't have a lot of experience. I did an internship when I was an undergrad that was swine specific only, so that kind of got my feet wet in the industry, where I met a couple people, but I didn't have a lot of connections that maybe others would have had prior to going to vet school and prior to taking my first job in a swine only system. And for me, it was great because I met all these people and I created this network, and continue to talk to those veterinarians every day, and we get together at ASV, and so it does really give an opportunity for young veterinarians to see the good parts about being a swine veterinarian and want to continue, hopefully, and have those career-long friendships that you do gain by being a part of the program.
Absolutely. And, if we have any listeners or watchers right now who are pre-vet majors or maybe just in high school thinking about it and they want to know how to get involved or anything like that, what advice would you have to them, as they go through school and hopefully get into the veterinary career field?
I think just get into as much as you can. Don't limit yourself to one place. Before my internship in undergrad, I never thought I would only do pigs. I thought, I want to be a mixed animal practitioner. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to vet school and I'm going to do this. And through that internship, I really learned about the swine industry and became, found that piece of that passion that I really liked and could really focus on that. And so I would just find someone that can help be a mentor to you throughout your schooling. Get as much experience as you can in as many different places. If you don't say never, right? I'm never going to be a pig veterinarian. Don't say that, because you may be a pig veterinarian and you may find that you really like it. Or I'd say that dairy too, right? Like I'm never going to be this, or I'm never going to be that. Don't say that. Just get as much experience as you can, because that's the time to do it when you're in high school and in undergrad. Before you decide. And maybe you still don't decide even when you're a veterinarian and you've got that degree. You can always change and do something different.
That again was Dr. Jana Morgan, a key account veterinarian for swine with Boehringer Ingelheim. We'll go ahead and take a look now at that ag weather outlook. Well, we may not be in a heat advisory right now, but that doesn't mean these temps are just absolutely incredibly hot. Heat indexes may be in the hundreds. Of course, the actual temp, as we can see right now in the studio, is 94 degrees, but it certainly feels a little hotter than that, and the humidity doesn't make that much better. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has to say for the next 24 hours. As you can see here from the National Weather Service, hot temperatures are back. Today, mostly sunny and very warm across the state. Temps range from the upper 80s to upper 90s. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms from the southwest to northeast. Lows overnight should range from the low to upper 60s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and slightly cooler temps. Highs will be in the upper 80s to about 90. Looking at the affiliate weather map right now, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee will be sunny with a high of 89. Shenandoah sunny with a high around 87. Des Moines clear and sunny and a high of 90. Albia sunny and 88. Waterloo sunny and 87, and Clinton clear skies with a high of 88. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can find our video content and previous episodes on our YouTube channel. So make sure you go there, hit subscribe and the notification button so you can see when those videos come out live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Avery Haskell and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.